Yeah.
Alright, hello everyone, my name is Dominick Lee. Today we're going to be making a dish that's called Chicken Marengo. So Chicken Marengo is a dish that comes from France. That the myth is that when Napoleon won the Battle of Marengo, he had this dish created in the Italian region. So essentially what it has is, it has roast chicken, some garlic, some truffles, some tomato sauce, a little bit of veal stock, some poached egg, some lovely mushrooms, and then typically the dish comes with crawfish, but I'm going to use some of this nice lobster and claw and knuckle meat that comes from Maine that was supplied to me by a sponsor, DR Delicacy. So basically the dish is a real saucy dish. The pan that I'm using here is the same pan that I roast the chicken in. So I'm using chicken breast. I pre-roasted it before this demonstration, just so that we don't take up too much time. So as I said, this pan has like what we call like the fond or the juices of the chicken inside of it, and we want to build the sauce inside of that so you have all of that flavor. So I turn the induction pan up to about medium high. I'm going to drop this confit garlic in there. So I'm going to let this start sizzling a little bit, and then I'm going to take some of this white wine. It's a white Bordeaux, alright? And I'm just going to deglaze the pan a little bit, right? Get some of that in there to help lift up that flavor that's stuck to the bottom of the pan. Also, I'm going to go ahead and pour myself a glass of this, because what is cooking with wine if you're not drinking a little bit? I mean, we're all inside, we're all hanging out, might as well have a nice meal with a little bit of wine. I believe that's a necessary component. So the first thing that we're going to do is, as the wine is heating up and reducing a little bit and getting all of that stuff off of there, I'm going to take one of these spoons and kind of just scrape up the bottom of the pan, because that's where all of that good flavor is. It's stuck to the bottom. So the acid from the white wine basically helps to pull up that flavor from off the bottom of the pan that's stuck to it. I always remember when I was in culinary school, what they would tell us is, oh, hey, listen, that stuff that you thought was the burn stuff on the pan is actually the really good flavor. So I got that going ahead, that's cooking. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add this veal stock inside of that. Alright, so I'm going to pour that in. Alright, going to let that cook. Veal stock is something that you can find at the store nowadays. They'll have like the different broths and stuff like that. Different types of stocks, or like bouillon cubes that you can add to boiling water to basically get that beefy flavor. Really what we're doing is we're taking all of these different flavors and like bringing them together, so you have juices from chicken, a little bit of the fattiness from veal. We're going to add some tomato sauce in there, which will give it a little bit of acidity, and all these different flavor profiles to make a really, really nice sauce. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this tomato sauce in. Alright, we're going to let all that start cooking together. We want to have this start going. And I mean, you can use you can make a nice homemade tomato sauce from Roma tomatoes, or you can really use any kind of tomatoes and stew them down. You just want it to be nice and thick when the time comes, so that you have a nice flavorful sauce. Alright, so I'm going to let this go for a little bit, let this heat up. Alright, so now everything that I have here, these items like the chicken, this chicken I just put a little bit of salt and pepper on it. I used a little bit of this Herb de Provence olive oil. I put that in the pan, this pan right here, got it very hot, and then seared it so that the seasonings and stuff would just stick onto the chicken. It forms that Maillard effect, makes it like very, very flavorful. I took this pan, put it in a 350-degree oven, allowed that to cook for a little bit, and then once the chicken was done, took it out and let it rest on this plate. Alright, another one of the ingredients is used in this is sometimes fried egg, but I prefer a poached egg. What I've done is I just took a little bit of, brought some water to a boil, add about a cap full of white vinegar, and then drop the egg in and let it go for about, if the water is rolling boiling, you can let it go for a minute because I like mine pretty yolky, so you can get that like nice richness from it. Pull it out, put it in here and let it rest until it's time. Here we have the chef's mix of mushrooms from DR Delicacy, and essentially what I've done there is sauteed them a little bit in herb de Provence, a little bit of salt and pepper, taking that out, put that to the side. Alright, so now the sauce is going really well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add this magical French butter to it. You can buy good quality butter from anywhere. I mean, my grandmother always used to say, if you want to add some flavor to something, you just add a little bit of butter to it. You can't go wrong. So now the sauce is really rolling. You know, it's doing what needs to be done. I'm going to let it go down a little bit, let it mix together. So what's going to happen is we're going to poach the lobster inside of this sauce, right? So since it's cooking, we're going to take our raw lobster and we're going to put that in there and we're going to let that cook inside of it. Reason being is because you don't want to cook lobster really fast. You want to cook it at a moderate temperature. I believe that it's best used as soon as you cook it, personally. Also, it allows for the lobster to add a little bit more depth of flavor to a sauce that's basically already made from chicken fond or chicken juice, veal stock. And then you add that lobster into it. It gives it a really nice depth of umami. All right. To me, like this chicken Marengo dish is almost like a lunch brunch dish. You know, you got chicken in it. Like I said, crawfish was the normal thing, but this is going to be like a little bit more of a high class version. Mushrooms, and then a little bit of bread. I believe that's just enough, like almost like a gravy with egg and chicken and seafood all together at once. Just very hearty, something good to like make you feel good during these times that we're in, cooking at home. A little bit of white wine. I think that it's just a perfect balance, you know. And of course we can't forget some nice truffle peelings. We're not going to put that in until the very end. We're going to let that cook in there with the lobster and stuff like that, and it's going to be really, really magical. Alright. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my wine. Can't be doing this without sipping on the wine. Alright, so now like we have some nice lobster pieces, Main Lobster. We're just going to put that in there. Let it get nice and cooked inside of it. This is raw. You can buy it frozen. When you buy it frozen, basically all you do is just let it defrost inside of a refrigerator, or you can run some water on the outside of the package if you're in a rush. But who's in a rush nowadays? Not I. Alright? So, as the lobster's in here cooking, what's happening next is we're going to start adding the truffle pieces. Okay? Be mindful of your lobster. You don't want to overcook it. You want it to be nice and juicy. Getting some good flavor in here. Also, be mindful, like most shellfish doesn't take a long time to cook. Like it's something that can be done really fast. That's why this dish is really cool because, I mean, you can dry chicken out, no doubt, but I think that it's a very approachable meat, something that complements this dish really well. You're adding a little bit of class to something that isn't, in a time like, where chicken, like very cheap item, you put a little bit of lobster in it, now it's like just brought it up a notch, elevated it. Truffle peelings are roughly inexpensive if you want to use fresh truffle and you're in that kind of mood. Nothing's wrong with that, you know. So what I'm going to do is, when this lobster is almost cooked, I'm going to remove it from out of here because I don't want it to overcook, right? But I did want it to get inside of the sauce. I want the sauce to keep cooking, you know, keep becoming more flavorful and reducing a lot, all right? Because ultimately what's going to happen is we're going to take all of our ingredients and we're going to put it inside of this and really, like, you know, let all of it heat up inside of it and then finish it inside of these two bowls right here. So now what I'm going to do, our lobster is getting close to being done. I'm going to go ahead and add all of these truffle pieces inside. All right? I'm going to let that start cooking in there. Smells amazing. All right? Let's go ahead and get a taste. See if we need to add some salt or pepper to it. Yeah. We'll put a little bit of this salt in here. You know, when you add salt, it basically makes it so that you can taste everything. We have receptors in our tongue that are reacting to salt. A little bit of pepper. And that's all you really want to use is salt and pepper to this. You already have so many flavors inside of here. You don't want to do too much. All right. So the lobster's firming up really well, and that's how you really know when it's getting done, is that it's firm, it's not too soft, right? Yeah. So this is perfect. We're just going to go ahead and pull these out. Just set them to the side for a minute while we keep cooking our sauce down. All right. So now we have our chicken, our lobster, we have our eggs, we have our mushrooms, all right? So now we're letting our sauce go. While our sauce is going for a little bit longer, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this lovely sourdough bread I have and I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the toaster for a little bit. Let it get nice and warm. When I come back from putting that in the toaster, we're gonna go ahead and add the mushrooms in, we're gonna add the chicken in, we're going to add the eggs in, and we're going to let that all cook down together, heat up, and once it's hot, then we can go ahead and serve it. So I set that for 2 minutes. So these are our previously sauteed mushrooms, just a chef mix. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add this in. So these mushrooms, they're not going to release too much liquid because I've already sauteed them a lot and a lot of the liquid has come out. All right, so I'm going to add that in. All right. Now we have this nice sauce. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and take 2 halves of this chicken breast. I'm going to put that in there. I want that to get hot inside of this. Alright. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 of these poached eggs in here. Since they were already cooked, all we're doing is reheating them all together in the sauce into one composed dish. I always like to spoon a little bit of sauce onto the stuff so that they can be nice and covered. But also like so that flavor is mixing in everywhere. Alright. And then next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this lobster. I'm going to add that back in. So the way that I do it, just so I can kind of see everything, is I put like sections inside of the pot while the stuff is cooking. So I have one section that has like the chicken breast in it. I have one section that has the eggs in it. and then one section that has the lobster in it, okay? So the next thing we're gonna do while this is still going is we're gonna start to plate this dish. So we have two dishes right here, all right? So all I'm gonna simply do is I'm gonna take the chicken out. I'm gonna set a piece right there. Set a piece right here, okay? Then we're gonna pick up our sauce pot and we're gonna spoon a little bit of the sauce and mushrooms just right here on the side. Just like that. Perfect. Then you take one of your poached eggs, put that on the side. Just like that. And then next, last but never least, we're going to get some of that really beautiful Main Lobster that the people from DR Delicacy were so nice to supply us with. Just like that. All right. Perfect. And now, while we were doing that, our bread should be ready and toasted. As it is. And what you now have is a nice dish, easily made, easily executable, very hearty. You're gonna have, as I said, some nice lobster, a little chicken breast, some fresh chef's mixed mushrooms, some nice sourdough bread, something easy to make at home, easy ingredients to get your hands on. You don't have to do too much, and it's a very beautiful dish with really, really great ingredients. All right. I hope everybody stays safe during this time. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or hit me up on Instagram at Chef Dom Lee. And I look forward to seeing y'all soon.